What happens when a small bear travels all the way back to the country he was born in to search for the aunt who raised him? Welcome back for another English movie review lesson. I'm Teacher Teddy, and today, let's talk about Paddington in Peru. The story begins by showing Paddington living happily in London with the Brown family, when a letter arrives from the Home for Retired Bears in Peru. In the letter, Aunt Lucy says she misses Paddington very much, and that something doesn't feel quite right at the home. Says she misses Paddington uses say, not tell, because there's no listener named in the sentence. We say something, but we tell someone something. If Aunt Lucy had a listener in the sentence, we'd say she tells Paddington she misses him, not says him. Worried about his aunt, Paddington decides to travel to Peru, and the whole Brown family goes with him, wanting to help and to finally see where Paddington came from. Mr. Brown, always a careful, cautious man, tells his family he has done every single piece of research needed for the trip, checking maps, weather reports, and travel routes far more than anyone else thinks is necessary. Mrs. Brown, on the other hand, says very little about her own worries, quietly hoping the whole trip goes smoothly for everyone's sake. The two Brown children, Judy and Jonathan, are simply thrilled at the idea of a real jungle adventure and spend the whole flight to Peru asking endless questions about what they might find. Before they leave, Paddington makes a huge batch of marmalade sandwiches for the long journey. Makes a batch of sandwiches uses make because we make food, drinks, and meals. Meanwhile, Mrs. Brown does the packing for the whole family, checking every bag twice. Does the packing uses do because we do jobs, tasks, and chores, like homework, the washing, or the shopping. When Paddington finally arrives at the Home for Retired Bears, he meets the Reverend Mother, who runs the home and looks after all the elderly bears living there. She tells the family a strange story about Aunt Lucy wandering off into the jungle one night, searching for a lost city hidden deep in the mountains. Tells the family a strange story uses tell because there's a listener directly named in the sentence, the family. The Reverend Mother explains that Aunt Lucy had recently become fascinated by an old, half-finished piece of embroidery showing a mysterious lost city, and that this seemed to be connected somehow to her sudden disappearance. Determined to find her, the Browns team up with a colorful riverboat captain named Hunter Cabot, who happens to know the Amazon rainforest extremely well, and who has spent years secretly searching for the very same legendary lost city himself. Hunter Cabot lends the Brown family his riverboat and some basic camping equipment for their journey up the river. Lends the family his riverboat uses lend because Hunter is the one giving something away temporarily. The Browns, meanwhile, borrow his boat and his equipment gratefully, since they have none of their own. Borrow his boat uses borrow because the Browns are the ones receiving something temporarily, the opposite side of the very same action. As they travel together deeper into the jungle, Paddington brings his marmalade sandwiches with him everywhere, sharing them generously with the whole group whenever anyone gets hungry along the way. Brings his sandwiches with him uses bring because we usually bring when something moves towards the place the speaker already is, or towards wherever the main action of the story is happening. Later, when the group has to leave the boat behind and continue on foot, they take extra rope, torches, and supplies with them into the dense, tangled jungle. Take extra rope with them uses take instead of bring, because now the movement is away from their starting point, deeper into the unknown jungle, rather than towards it. Along the river, the group faces plenty of small dangers, from sudden rapids to a tense encounter with a sleepy but enormous jaguar resting a little too close to their campsite for comfort. Through it all, Paddington stays calm and endlessly polite, somehow managing to make even the most nervous member of the group feel a little braver. As the journey continues, the film starts dropping playful hints that not everyone on this trip is being completely honest about their reasons for heading upriver. Some of the adults seem a little too interested in the legends surrounding the lost city, and a little too vague about their own pasts, and the story has great fun letting the audience guess who might be hiding something, long before anyone on screen works it out. Through all the mystery and mounting suspicion, Paddington simply does his best to keep everyone's spirits up, and quietly makes a promise to himself that he will not leave Peru without finding Aunt Lucy. Does his best uses do, because your best is treated like a task you complete, just like doing your homework or doing the washing. Makes a promise uses make, because promises, plans, and decisions are all things we make in English, never things we do. The final act delivers everything you could hope for from a proper jungle adventure. Long-buried secrets finally coming to light, a race deeper into the rainforest, and a discovery at the journey's end that means far more to Paddington than any pile of gold ever could. I won't spoil who turns out to be hiding what, or what the family actually finds out there. Those surprises are worth experiencing fresh, but the ending manages to be exciting, funny, and quietly moving all at the same time, in the way this series does so well. What I can say is that the questions the film raises early on, what happened to Aunt Lucy, what the old embroidery really shows, and why Paddington was sent to London as a young cub all those years ago, are all answered by the time the credits roll, and answered in a way that ties the whole story together beautifully. Now, let's talk about how this story is told, and many critics have compared this installment's Jungle Temple, Hidden Treasure, and thrilling riverboat chase to the Indiana Jones films, one of the most famous adventure series ever made. Where Indiana Jones plays its jungle adventures with real danger and tension, Paddington in Peru borrows that same exciting structure, a legendary lost city, a race against rival treasure hunters, and a journey deep into uncharted jungle, but keeps everything warm, gentle, and suitable for the whole family throughout. That's really the charm critics keep pointing to. It takes a classic, thrilling adventure format and tells it through the lens of one of the kindest, most polite characters in modern cinema. so even the tense moments never stop feeling safe and good-natured. This episode also has 5 bonus vocabulary words to review, pulled from how critics have actually described this film. Our first word is charming. Charming describes something pleasant and attractive in a warm, likable way. Critics repeatedly called Paddington in Peru a charming addition to the series. Our second word is heartwarming. Heartwarming describes something that makes you feel warm, happy feelings inside. Paddington's search for Aunt Lucy gives the film some of its most genuinely heartwarming moments. Our third word is whimsical. Whimsical describes something playful, imaginative, and a little bit unusual in a fun way. The film's jungle adventure has a wonderfully whimsical tone throughout. Our fourth word is wholesome. Wholesome describes something good, decent, and healthy in spirit, suitable for everyone. Reviewers often praised the franchise for staying so wholesome, even during its more exciting action scenes. Our fifth and final word is adventurous. Adventurous describes something full of excitement, risk, and new experiences. This film takes Paddington on his most adventurous journey yet, far beyond the streets of London. Now, let's talk about how Paddington in Peru has actually been received since its release. Critically, the response has been extremely positive, with the film holding a very high score with critics, and many reviewers calling it a worthy, exciting continuation of the beloved series. Audiences responded warmly too, helping the film earn well over $200 million worldwide. A strong result for a family film built around gentle humor rather than huge action spectacle. Much of the online discussion has focused on the new setting, since this is the first film in the series to leave London almost entirely, trading cozy British streets for the wide, colourful Amazon rainforest and the towering Andes Mountains. Some longtime fans discussed the change in voice cast, since Aunt Lucy's story and the Brown family both feel a little different this time around. Though most agreed, the emotional core of the series stayed fully intact. Online, discussion of the film today tends to focus on a few recurring topics. How well the jungle setting works compared to London, whether this is the strongest entry in the franchise so far, and how movingly the film handles Paddington's own family history. Let's go through our confused word pairs from this episode. Use say when there's no listener named in the sentence, and tell when there is one. As in, she said she was worried, compared with, she told Paddington she was worried. Use make for creating something, like food or a decision, and do for completing a task or job, as in, make a sandwich, compared with do the packing. Use lend when you're the one giving something temporarily, and borrow when you're the one receiving it. As in, Hunter lent them his boat, compared with, they borrowed his boat. Use bring for movement towards the speaker or the main action, and take for movement away from it, as in, bring your sandwiches with you, compared with take extra rope into the jungle. A simple way to remember all four pairs: say and tell are about listeners. Make and do are about creating versus completing. Lend and borrow are about which direction something moves. And bring and take are about which direction the person moves to. Try making one sentence with each of these four pairs, describing something from your own day. Let's also go through our 5 bonus vocabulary words from this episode. Charming. Pleasant and attractive in a warm, likable way. The whole film feels genuinely charming. Heartwarming. Making you feel warm, happy feelings inside. The film's closing scenes are really heartwarming. Whimsical. Playful, imaginative, and a little unusual in a fun way. The jungle scenes have a whimsical tone. Wholesome. Good, decent, and healthy in spirit, suitable for everyone. It's a wonderfully wholesome family film. Adventurous. Full of excitement, risk, and new experiences. This is Paddington's most adventurous story yet. Try using one of these 5 words yourself, either to describe this film or another family film you enjoy. So, what's the final verdict on Paddington in Peru? It's a warm, funny, genuinely exciting family adventure that finally takes Paddington back to where his story began, without ever losing the gentle kindness that makes his character so loved. If you enjoy heartwarming family films with a real sense of adventure, this is well worth watching together, whatever your age. Did you enjoy Paddington in Peru? Let me know in the comments on the video, or get in touch. If this helped you improve your English today, subscribe on YouTube, or follow along on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for more movies reviewed in slow, clear English. Interactive learning materials for this lesson can be found for free on engmoviereviews.com.